Hello fellow gamers, welcome back to the channel. This is episode 10 of my new series, Let's Play Disco Elysium. In today's episode, we get to explore the harbor more. We've also met a new character named Easy Leo. If you want to know more what happened with our interaction with Leo, stick around until the end. But before you do, please consider hitting the subscribe button as it would truly help the channel out. Also, click that bell icon to get notified of my new upload. And so without further ado, let's get into the game.
A large table with two huge vacuum-insulated thermal coffee dispensers. Someone has forgotten a small plastic card next to the stacks of cups. You snatch out the red plastic card. It features a black contour of a crane lifting a container. The name Etienne Ogart is written in the middle. Below it, in smaller text, member of the board. It comes with a magnetic strip meant to open electronic doors. The lyrics to this container song are being made up as he goes along. The accent is so thick, it's impossible not to notice he's Ubi, from the vanishing peninsula of Ubisund on Mundi.
Container, container, used to be Wild Pines. Container, container, now belongs to Everard. Everard, he looks after everyone. Huh? I see you are not a union man, mister. Did you get lost? You're not one of them scabs, are you? I mean, I don't personally mind. Folks is just folks, you know, and folks gotta eat. Oh yes, born and raised in Irish, mister. Mum had to leave my dad after he got a bit violent. Took us here to the new world. I was about 10 then, too old to lose my accent then. People say us Ubis are up to all sorts of trouble with sheep and other animals and whatnot. I just want you to know there was never any of that where I come.
Thank you for clarifying that, sir.
Oh, I'm just making some covers for them containers here. Yes I am. So it's easier for the crane operators to spot them.
The containers in the yard are green in Wild Pines livery, and the mountains rising behind Leo is all red in Union colors. It's like some red infection was spreading outwards from the container yard's core.
Yes, they are hiding it from the inside. All the red containers have the Debarders Union logo on them.
No, not really. Mr. Everett doesn't tell me all the big things. Says I go and tell them to everyone. Oh, no trouble at all, mister. No trouble at all. Oh, most of the guys are down at the gates, keeping the scabs from coming in. We're on a strike. The whole union is. You don't have to work when you're on strike. Ha! We haven't worked for 2 months now.
So no one is working?
Not everyone is down there, of course. Mr. Everard is in his office, where he always is. And Jean-Luc is guarding the gate. But Titus and his boys got into some drunken trouble and Everard sent them on a nice vacation. For a week or so. Oh, I'm not really supposed to talk about that. That's union business. Him and his boys stirred up something in town. Probably drank too much and got into a fight or something. I heard Mr. Everett telling him to take some time off.
Don't go all bad cop on this simple, friendly fellow.
I guess the boys got a bit too rowdy and had to let out some steam. I don't really know the details. That's just how boys are, you know. I haven't been in a fight since I was in middle school.
Easy, Leo. Let's keep this under heart ease.
Look at him. It's not going to be anything useful anyway. Don't fight it. Better to go with the flow. Too late. Leo's mouth is still moving and the words are spewing forth. Words, words, and look, even more words. Now he's talking about some drunk sawmill owner who... No, he already switched to a prized fishing rod he apparently owned.
Yes, yes. Everybody needs a job, and this is mine. I'm Leonard, by the way. Leonard Bellick. But everyone calls me Leo. I'm like Mr. Everett's right-hand man when Mr. Edgar is out of town, and Mr. Edgar's right-hand man when Mr. Everett is away. Actually, Miss Beaufort is the right-hand man, but she's a lady.
Who is this, Miss Beaufort?
A real pretty lady with a skin like those Douai Sucre candy bars my missus likes so much. Them are real nice to suckle on once the dinner is done and me and the missus sit down beside the radio. But I can't listen to the radio all the time. There's so much to do around here and I'm always busy keeping... Oh, Lizzie, she is a real sharp tool. Mr. Everett put her through some fancy school and everything, east of the river. 4 years she was gone, and when she came back, she was all fancy and lawyerly.
He respects that word. That's obvious.
But she's a real nice girl. Grew up in this here neighborhood, knows everybody and gets along with everyone. Real pillar of the community one day, I'm sure. If me missus and me was to have a child, I'd be real happy if she turned out like her. But she can't have kids. Dr. Lemaitre said so, and she knows about such things. Been a doctor for almost 50 years, she...
So Everett trained a lawyer named Miss Beaufort. Interesting.
Yes, this place really seems to run like clockwork. Keep it up, Leo.
Well, thanks a lot. Coming from you, it means a lot. Sometimes I feel some of the guys don't really get how much I bust my ass. Oh, that one. That should be empty as far as I know. Lots of containers here have nothing in them. They're just waiting to be loaded up.
Told you.
Oh, you want Mr. Everett then? He's an awfully nice fellow, he is. Him and his brother are both nice fellows. They've lived their entire lives in this here neighborhood. Guys like Mr. Everett and Mr. Edgar, his brother, are real good guys. Made Martinez what it is today. Mr. Everett and Mr. Edgar and I went to the same school, we did, when we were both... Oh, Mr. Everett is usually in his office, of course. But he already left for the day. He always leaves around 10 p.m. Bye-bye now.
drawer has not...
Greetings on this fine night. What brings you here? Is it? Spring is capricious, yes. The pawn shop is always open.
Feeling warm and enthralled by the movement of light, while the mind continues to race forward. Lucky bastard, he's probably on Prolidone, a drug developed by the military to treat and prevent radiation sickness. It has psychedelic side effects, and it makes your eyes turn yellow.
I try to keep the shop at a comfortable temperature. I've had to take it, you know, since the People's Pile cleanup. I was with the Emergency Relief Brigade.
He's taken it for mental and emotional, not physical pain these days.
A bad idea. Some poor leftist built a particle decay generator in hopes of bringing affordable electricity to underserved communities. It malfunctioned. Radioactive waste everywhere.
The People's Pile was the type you particle decay generator that failed immediately after a primitive nuclear reactor, also called a pile. Construction began during the Commune of Revachol. The people continued work on it after the Commune fell. They wanted a cheap source of energy for Revachol West. Needless to say, things didn't work out. An emergency valve defect resulted in steam pressure blowing the turbine, taking the fuel containment vessel up in the explosion.
We were an all-volunteer force, self-organized. Tried to help the fire brigades. I lived by the river since I was a small boy. The Esperance didn't have the art to let it all go to shit without trying to do something. There wasn't much the volunteer force could do, however. We wasted years in the river mud. Years getting sick. There's a reason why everyone's tried to forget any of it ever happened. So much disappointment and early deaths. Cancer mostly. And we knew all that. No one's. Everyone's.
So much bitterness.
A bunch of poor people built themselves a primitive nuclear reactor, hoping for the best. What do you think is going to happen? The cleanup happened 15 years ago. I was young then. Later, my second aunt died. Left me this shack, so I came to Martinez. I like the theory more than the story. Outward movement.
Yeah, you gotta get in on those vortices, my man.
You said you'd done it before, yeah?
It's almost like he's worried for you. The lieutenant steps away, pretending to admire some of the knickknacks on display. He won't be your knock, but he won't be thrilled about this either.
Here you go, man.
Yes, darling. That's the coalition government ordained Parolidon. Straight into your gut.
Of course. Traffic? I'm sorry, officer, but I don't drive. I just don't like it very much. Now that I think about it, I do remember hearing a thunderous noise the other night. Some kind of powerful electric vortex.
That sure narrows down our list of suspects.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. I didn't really know what to make of it, but I know it meant something. Traffic? I'm sorry, officer, but I don't drive. Now that I think about it...
That sure narrows down our list of suspects.
He shakes his head, slowly.
We should think about calling it a day, maybe. The nights are still miserably cold. We can pick up where we left off.
This is the door to the room you redecorated.
Just a moment. You had some questions earlier, I believe. And besides, we should discuss our progress on the investigation.
The air outside is brisk. The lieutenant is silent for a moment. He listens to the traffic hum. Then,
Where shall we begin? We should talk about the investigation, first and foremost. But I also remember you wanting to discuss the RCM? I have a cigarette every night when I go over my notes. It's something of a ritual.
Oh man, he looks so devastatingly cool with that cigarette.
You're cold, Detective. Again, I only have exactly one every night. You mean this? This isn't cool. It's an unnecessary trial of will and unhealthy. Yes, it's been a long and eventful day. Well, you were so hungover that you couldn't keep it down when we approached the hangman, so we didn't even inspect the body. And there's still much to do at the crime scene too. We didn't search it thoroughly enough. As for the interviews, we didn't get to meet Edouard Claire, but we did get into the home. It'll be easier to reach him tomorrow. We talked to Joyce Messier, but didn't get any information from her. I have a feeling Joyce knows how dangerous the situation really is. We have to get her to talk to us.
If Kim is emphasizing something this much, it really must be important.
Above all, though, today was exhausting. What's with all the running? You run a lot. Is that a standard Precinct 41 practice?
I have a really good theory about why you're running so fast, son. Just you wait until we get up tomorrow.
It's impressive, especially for a man your age, and in those hills. Nice shoes, by the way. I like the green, goes with the orange. They're quite limited, actually. The power officers of the Revachol Citizens Militia exercise most frequently is imposing fines of up to 1,000 real for offenses, in accordance with an interdepartmental schedule. The RCM's primary role is to ensure safety. We are not really supposed to play any part in the economic structure of Revachol. Yes, although indirectly, as citizens can always request records from their local station. Officers of the RCM have been known to take bribes of less than the prescribed fine amount. It undermines trust in the RCM. We can arrest people, of course, but rather than bringing someone in directly, it's preferable to serve a station call slip. It prevents confusion and overcrowding. You can't. Those who don't show up become fugitives, though, and have fewer legal rights when they are eventually caught. It's about power projection. Thus far, they seem to mostly show up. We are permitted to use whatever force we deem necessary, even lethal. You have to supply compelling evidence for why it was necessary to use lethal force. In these cases, your partner is usually your witness. Not a good position to be in, by the way. Internal Affairs handles these cases thoroughly, by cross-examining you for inconsistencies. It is hard to cover for anyone, which is for the best. Yes, the last time was 4 years ago. That's an improbability, perhaps even impossibility. Precinct 41 is known for a higher than average rate of police violence. We don't convict, we arrest and send them to coalition government courts in Courant and La Delta. The prosecution works off our testimonies and records, which is why it's paramount to keep them. The coalition government, and the moral intern more broadly. The RCM was formed by the coalition government to restore order in the international zone after the revolution. So we did. Now we attempt to maintain that order. No more, no less. Or perhaps it is better to say we were allowed to form. It's a point of contention whether the citizens of Revachol or the coalition government founded the RCM. Be sentimental if you like. Either way, the moral intern leases us the right to keep the peace in this city. And they will.
Or if they think you do.
The Moralists International are the world's largest political organization. You know who they are. They have been running this place after the revolution failed. They're a union of center-left and center-right parties across the Real Belt. Our coalition government is just one of its many projects. They also run the ICP, EPIS, most intergovernmental organizations in the world. What do they believe in? They are Dolorians. They believe they continue the humanist project set forth by Her Innocence Dolores Day 4 centuries ago. Others say they are just technocrats.
Those others say they continue the humanist project set forth by Dolores Day.
Interesting question. It's a blue forget-me-not. Their motto is love, compassion, self-discipline. I think you can gauge what they want you to think of them from that.
Something kind and usual. Something almost something even a little feminine, but in a strict manner.
A historic figure? The author of the modern age? You will have to look elsewhere for opinions. The subject of humanism is too abstract for me.
For you, she is something painful, though it's hard to say why.
The moral intern are a fact. I try not to have opinions on facts until they change. And it doesn't look like that's about to happen. Do you? No. We are stooges of the world's biggest bourgeois organization, protecting the people of Revachol. That's the hand we were dealt. Without the MI, we would be common vigilantes. Spoken like a revolutionary, not a cop. But
the dying lights of the city shimmer below. An aerostatic passes overhead, the whiskers of its floodlights on the ground below.
They really don't like us here. The Union, the teenagers too. It's different in land, in Jamrock and the GRIH. It's our fault for leaving this place to the dogs, to the Union, to the company, not daring to come here more often. This place has fallen between the cracks. We run this city. West of the river is RCM land. It's incredibly hard. Human beings are... But we are in control, and it's worth it. The organization works, our systems work. If they didn't, the city would disintegrate. Me too. But I wouldn't count on any drastic changes in our lifetimes. Yeah, it's getting very cold now. Let's go.
The fan stands still. The bed is cold and not particularly inviting, but it's yours. The sheets look awful. The sheets feel at once coarse and clammy against your skin. The bed sags beneath your weight as you stretch out and finally close your eyes. And then sleep doesn't come. And then sleep doesn't come. Maybe it's the bed's fault. Its synthetic filling has separated into hard lumps. The pillowcase smells oddly. It barely covers your toes, stretching over your soft belly. This is your body here, intimate and warm. It's a little better. Colors, scenes, and half-formed phrases still litter your mind. Part of you is still trying to solve the case, isn't it? Something to do with, what was it that the lieutenant said? Union? And it's gone again. Your thoughts lost between the slowing brain waves. Your breathing steadies. A great silence washes over you until your eyelids twitch in your sleep and images start.
Do you remember the scent of your childhood? What it says on the can, Harry? Answer the question. Do you remember your wife's hand on your face? You know who I am. I'm the bad day. The one where you ask her, and then later in the streets wandering. It's the worst day of all time, Harry dear. And it's coming. She will hear about it on the phone. Reality will turn into a grotesque nightmare. This will be the last thing you did to her. Tell me, do you remember the love of your life? Do you remember the warmth of her thighs, between her legs and in her mouth? Oh no, funky baby, you stayed. It was the rest of it that left, while you just stood there with one hand on the bottle and the other on your dick, watching it go. Tell me, where are your friends? Human beings have friends, Harry boy. Where the hell are yours? No, it's gone. You failed Elysium. Everything. The Pale and the Isolas on the surface. The outer magnetosphere. Burning, furious truth. 8,000 years of written history. You really dropped the ball, Harry. 4.6 billion people, and you failed every single one of them. You really fucked up. No, you haven't. You're just sleep talking, and the act is wearing thin too. The spots on the disco ball fade around you. You'll be back in those cold snakeskins in no time. Stinky boy. You're not coming back from shit. Thrashing around in that high conductivity state of yours, bumping into things and acting like a clown? Who are you kidding? You're trying to what? I can't hear you. This is just a word dream now. Jumbled up garbage. The pictures are gone. The bed rises to meet you. A thin, sleep-like state. More glass than velvet, grinding in your head.
So something is wrong. Sleep shouldn't be this bad, this dry, this unnourishing. There's something wrong with your thoughts. Some kind of new type of hangover. Oh yes, party boy, and it's worse than the one before. Just think of the shit you saw. Here it comes too, so soon already. A silent alarm goes off in your head like clockwork, barely let you sleep at all. Time to get those clothes on. Time to go to work in the shit factory.
Good going, buddy. Really? Because you feel even worse this morning than you did last. You mean, why are you so tired? Too tired and down to even think? It is worrying, isn't it? You can't be a detective like this. Detectives need to be able to think. That's not really true. Your heart has finally pumped all the speed out of your system, Buster. Time to get some more. You're too weak to say no now. Waking up is the worst part. Maybe somewhere down the line you could decline. Speed is a potent central nervous system stimulant. It kept you propped up all day yesterday, despite your debilitating hangover. How else did you think you even got up? It's power, man. It's professionalism. It makes you feel like you're young again and ready to detect. Ready to go. Are you sure? Ready to live as this pathetic shell of yourself for days? Basically, a week. Let's be honest, 2 weeks. Maybe 3. You won't make it. Half the town will be dead by then. You will be fired. Suit yourself, slow, sad shell man. See how you do without your spark. A mirror hangs on the bathroom wall. In it, your face, adorned with the expression.
Hello guys, I'm back. I'm gonna end this episode for now. Please be on the lookout for the next one. Again, if you like this type of content, please consider subscribing. Also, I have another series on my channel and it's called Average Gamer Plays on Hard Mode. It's a series wherein I play games with the difficulty level set on the hardest mode. If you wanna know how an average gamer fares on the hardest mode, you should definitely check it out. And with that, I am signing off and I will see you fellow gamers on the next episode.